Many trades happen in the NBA every offseason. A lot of them work out and can be masterstrokes, but not all of them are fair trades. We'll be taking a look at some of the most unfortunate trades that have ever happened, which didn't make sense at the time or even now. Here are 10 NBA trades that never made any sense. Let's get right into it. Starting with Russell Westbrook to the LA Lakers. Let's start with a recent trade here. Russell Westbrook moving to LA. The franchise had won the championship and it only took them a year to get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round by the conference winners, Phoenix Suns. Given all the injuries and mishaps, it was more or less than an expected result. As a result, the Lakers decided to dip into the market and bring in a new superstar. Somehow, given all the players available on the market, the Lakers decided to go for Russell Westbrook by more or less gutting out their roster. Westbrook never made sense for the Lakers and remains on the wrong side of 30 and has been only 1 year on, and as expected, the trade didn't pan out. Now the Lakers are hoping to move him out of town as soon as possible. Up next, the Boston Celtics trading for Kyrie Irving. Another recent trade here, the Cleveland Cavaliers had a superb roster and were hoping to win their second title in 3 years back in 2017. When things changed dramatically for the franchise, Kyrie Irving demanded to be traded from Cleveland, and despite being a contender, it was surprising to see someone like Kyrie looking for a trade. His reasoning for wanting a trade was becoming the face of a team rather than playing his second fiddle. The Cavs traded him to the Celtics in exchange for a first-round pick, Isaiah Thomas, and Jay Crowder. It blew up in everyone's faces, with the Cavs window closing, the Celtics losing Irving within 2 seasons, and Kyrie causing more damage to the franchise than helping. And it was a nightmare trade that ended the immediate hopes of 2 franchises of getting a championship. Moving on, Andrea Bargnani to the New York Knicks. One of the most solid members of the Toronto Raptors roster at the time was Andrea Bargnani. The impressive big man seemed to have a lot in his arsenal, and despite showing many injury troubles toward the end of his stint, Bargnani was in demand in New York as the Knicks wanted to get him. In 2013, the Knicks got their wish as they traded Bargnani for multiple bench players and 3 draft picks and got him for only 71 games. This happened after Bargnani had played only 35 games for the Raptors and averaged just over 12 points. It was a move that didn't make sense at all and still doesn't make sense and disappointed everyone along the way. Then, the James Harden trade to the Houston Rockets. The Oklahoma City Thunder made it to the NBA Finals, and they had a super trio of Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. They did lose in the finals, but the decision to dismantle that dream trio was an absolute horrid one, and it happened when Oklahoma fumbled with their assets and offered a terrible deal that was considered well below the market value. They didn't want to go over the salary cap and pay the tax, and that ended up being a nightmare for Oklahoma. For the Rockets, though, it ended up being worse somehow. They traded a crop of players headlined by a star like Jeremy Lamb and 2 of the first-round picks, one of which got the Thunder Steven Adams. It was a horrible trade that ended up making no sense whatsoever and seems somehow worse with time. On to Steve Nash to the Lakers. With the end of the Kobe Bryant era in sight, the Lakers were looking to assemble one final squad to challenge for the championship in Kobe's prime. After multiple meetings, we're guessing they sat down and decided to sign Dwight Howard while he recovered from a terrible back injury, and trade for Steve Nash, who was older and had multiple injury issues of his own. Signing Nash wasn't a problem. The issue was with the details of the trade. Imagine sending 4 picks to the Suns for the point guard who was reaching the end of his career. The Lakers mortgaged their entire future, kind of, for 2 years of okay-ish from Steve Nash, and if we're being honest, they're doing the same thing here with LeBron. It seems as if the Lakers didn't really learn anything from their experience of Kobe. Into the top 5, Rajon Rondo to the Dallas Mavericks. Just like the Lakers with Kobe, the Mavericks in 2014 decided to win another ring for their superstar Dirk Nowitzki. The German had reached the end of his career and was beginning to decline massively, and the Mavs thought that their best chance of having a shot at the chip was to trade most of the assets on their bench along with multiple picks to get in Rajon Rondo. The worst part of the trade was the fact that Rondo did not want to play for the Mavericks at all. He hated being there and phoned it in pretty much most of the time he was there, which was for less than a season. As for the trade, it never made sense, not at the time and certainly not now. And anyone who remembers that Mav team remembers that they didn't even have a playoff squad. Next entry at number 4, Allen Iverson and Chauncey Billups swapping teams. Both the Denver Nuggets and the Detroit Pistons believed that they were a piece away from contending for the championship, and they decided to do one of the rarest superstar swaps. The 2 organizations decided to trade Chauncey Billups for Allen Iverson, and they thought it'd make sense. And you guessed it, this definitely didn't make any sense at all. Both Billups and Iverson were both past their primes and weren't even close to their primes when the trade happened. They didn't contribute much, and neither of them spent more than 3 years with their squad. Entering the top 3, Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks. Is this 2011 or 2022? Carmelo Anthony has been rumored with a trade to move to the Knicks once again, but unlike in 2022, things actually materialized and the Nuggets traded him to New York. In fact, Melo spent 7 years there player, but we'll tell you why it made no sense at the time and doesn't make a lot of sense even now. There wasn't a shortage of suitors when the Nuggets decided to trade him, and the Knicks held all the power in this move, knowing that most franchises would give anything to make it happen, but they agreed to do a deal by getting Danillo Gallinari and a couple of other players and a few draft picks in exchange for past his best Chauncey Billups and Carmelo Anthony. It made no sense because the Knicks didn't become contenders by getting Anthony, and the Nuggets got almost nothing in return. On number 2, Serge Ibaka to Orlando Magic. This is a trade we simply can't wrap our heads around. It's such a farcical move, and we can't believe that the franchises involved actually let it happen. Serge Ibaka was seriously good, no doubt, but the Magic were hoping to become contenders after trading for him, and to make that deal happen, they actually traded Victor Oladipo and Ersan Ilyasova and the drafting rights to Domantas Sabonis to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was an incredibly poor move because it didn't matter at all. Both the franchises didn't improve, and every single player involved in the trade moved on to a new team within one season, further indicating that this was nothing but a poor move from both franchises involved. A horror show of a trade that put both franchises well behind their hopes of challenging for the championship anytime soon. In fact, some would argue that it also hindered the development of the players involved. Finally, at number 1, Brooklyn Nets getting Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. This time, it's the Brooklyn Nets who thought they were just a piece or two away from contending, but we can't blame them if we're being honest. When you've got a team featuring the likes of Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, and Brook Lopez, you can be forgiven for thinking that. So when their front office sat down and they decided that all they needed were superstars, and it did make sense again, we can't lie, it wasn't all bad because they really needed weapons. So they traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Unfortunately for the Nets, the two boys were completely washed, and every single person in the world knew that they were nothing but rentals and long past their best. And the Nets made it worse by trading multiple bench pieces and included 3 first-round picks as well. What did they get in return? Less than 2 years of mediocrity from the two legends, and that's something the Nets almost didn't recover from for a long time. And that's a wrap for this video. Is there a worse trade than the ones that we mentioned here? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.